Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're diving into the conclusion of a case I've been tracking for months. The saga of Abel Estrada, a sovereign citizen from Kansas. Now, I didn't think he could top the absurdity of his first few hearings. But clearly, he said, "Hold my wife." So, let's get right into it and see how this all plays out.
Are on the record in case number 2024 TR 617, State of Kansas versus Abel Estrada Jr. Paulie Dean for the state. This is 2024 TR 617. Mr. Abel, you need to start your video and audio. Mr. Abel, you need to start your audio and video so we can have your bench trial.
Here. Hello, here. Hello? Hello?
Mr. Abel, you need to start your audio and video. Sounds like you've started your audio.
Yeah, the video. Start video. Okay.
Okay. All right, Mr. Abel, you are representing yourself today, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Judge, you never approved my order for withdrawal.
Yeah, you set that over for today.
Well, I do have your motion to withdraw. I also have the defendant's pro se motion to dismiss with extreme prejudice, affidavit of true and affidavit of reservation of rights request for writ of discovery, which he filed November 21st to 24. Mr. Abel, what's going on between you and your attorney? Do you want an attorney or do you not?
I do, but he's not able to defend me because for the interest, I don't know. But he's not defending me. I need an attorney.
You say you need an attorney?
But
I don't know if it's your computer or mine, but I'm having a hard time hearing you, sir.
hello.
Missy, is that his computer or mine?
I hope it's not mine.
He's not sitting close enough to the microphone, Judge.
All right, you need to sit closer to your microphone is what I'm told, sir.
Can you hear me now?
That's great, yes. Now, what's going on with your attorney? Do you want your attorney or not?
I do, but there's some conflict of interest where he said he's not going to represent me.
He says he's not going to represent you?
He says he's going to pull himself out.
Okay, Mr. McClendon, what's your take on this?
Judge, my client wants me to support a position that I believe is contrary to the Constitution of the United States. And I took an oath to uphold that when I became an attorney, and I take that oath every year. And he's wanted me to pursue this position that I do not feel comfortable representing the law.
Your Honor, this is the same issue. I believe Mr. Paul was first appointed to this case. Essentially, the defense, as the court has seen, is one that's contrary to the United States Constitution, Constitution of the state of Kansas, that he's for some reason is exempt from as a private citizen on the laws of the state of Kansas.
Well, aren't we going to have the same problem regardless of what attorney he has?
That's correct.
How the attorney steps in just to tell the judge that differing views on the Constitution are just one of many reasons he shouldn't represent the defendant, including, hilariously, a disagreement over the nutritional value of Windows. Absolute gold.
The court has indulged Mr. Abel in that it's appointed him two attorneys now. Two attorneys he sought to have basically present a defense that's contrary to the Kansas Constitution, contrary to the oath that each attorney takes when they're licensed by the state, and that And additionally, this carries a maximum sentence of 30 days, which would typically not even make him eligible for an attorney, but the court has taken the effort to give him counsel.
Well, and didn't Mr. Estrada, didn't this attorney, William McClendon, represent you when this was brought in initially in city court?
Yes, and it was dismissed. This is why I'm claiming double jeopardy, because I'm going for the same case over again, and this has been dismissed already. Why am I going to court again?
Well, you didn't actually go to trial in the other one. You had a first appearance, as I recall, and then it was dismissed. So you haven't had any jeopardy attached. You've not had a trial in this.
Well, the supremacy laws says that you cannot be tried or convicted of anything.
I know what they say. All right. Well,
Listen to your words, sir. You just stated it, tried or convicted. The jury was not impaneled. The judge had not begun to take evidence in your city court case. It was dismissed. Jeopardy does not attach until one of those events occurred, and they have not occurred.
well, so Mr. Abel, if you want an attorney, it's going to be William McClendon. If you don't want an attorney, you'll have to either hire one, which it's kind of late for that in the day, or you'll have to represent yourself. So which way do you want to go?
I like to get an attorney, but
Well,
I
I'm not
already.
going to give you continuance for it because you've had this case in municipal court, you've had this case in this court, you've known this hearing was coming up, and you've gone through 2 attorneys. So what do you want to do? Are
Very
you going to
simple.
represent yourself or use Mr. McClendon? Those are basically your
I want to
choices.
be, but the
You
paperwork
have
that
to stay up by the microphone. I can't hear you.
I want to be represented by my attorney, but the paperwork that I put in there is completely lawful, and he doesn't want to go forth with my
Okay,
paper.
so here, is that where the disagreement is? You filed this voluminous motion to dismiss with extreme prejudice, as you captioned it, and he doesn't want to argue that for you? Is that why you 2 are in disagreement?
Yes.
Amongst many other reasons.
Love how the judge laid it out. If you didn't help build the roads, you don't get to decide the rules for traveling on them. In other words, if you want to cruise down the highway in your street canoe without dealing with so-called road pirates demanding a license, you'd better go buy some land and build your own roads. Until then, you play by the rules like everyone else. Simple as that.
I'm gonna
Judge, if he's able to draft a motion of such, I don't see why he can't be able to argue it himself.
Well, I'm going to have you stay on board, Mr. McClendon. And Mr. Abel, I have read your motion. Believe it or not, I did read it all. I read about your arguments for the Sixth Amendment right to counsel and your discussion of Attorney Richard Paw having a case conflict. And then you start talking about your commercial and private license plates. You start citing federal law that isn't even applicable here.
How's that?
And you start getting into the U.S. Code. And you start talking about retaliation and coercion and the right to confront witnesses, which I agree you do have, and they are here to testify, as I understand it. But I don't agree with this, what you call lawful private American righteous onto the Lord, the King of glory, and the law of the land of the United States, ex parte Milligan. That isn't even making any sense. You start talking about military courts. This is not a military court. You start talking about being a free person, having the right to travel on the roads. Well, provided by their servants for that purpose. Well, we don't have servants in that sense. People are not servants unless they're hired and appropriately contracted. But as far as the roads, if you don't see yourself as having contributed to making those roads, you have to go by the rules of the road.
What's hilarious is that he's trying to charge the police officers just for talking to him, all while having the right to remain silent the entire time. And who came up with these absurd numerical values anyway? Whoever did should be locked up in sovereign citizen jail for convincing these people not to bundle all their nonsense into one grand package for, say, $1 billion. Absolute madness.
So from City Court, you argue that the U.S. Supreme Court and other high court citations prove that no license is necessary for normal use of an automobile on common ways. That's not right. That's not the law. You talk about yourself being a traveler on foot, but you weren't a traveler on foot using the public highways. You were driving a motor vehicle, according to the allegations. You attached something from a Nora Weisenberg Foreign National Division and you addressed Governor Pat McCrory out of Raleigh, North Carolina, a 2015 letter with a carbon copy to Deputy Justice Attorney General Loretta Lynch and Secretary of State John Kerry. I don't see that having any relevance or bearing. Then you've got something with a copyright number and a fee schedule with lawful legal notice, as you call it. And you start talking about prohibited actions in 18 U.S.C. 101, 18 U.S.C. 241, and you go down through those. And again, this is not a federal court. And then you start talking about you have fees that the officers must pay before they can do any business with you.
Correct.
And if they refuse to pay your fees, then any business or interaction with them or transaction you say is basically void. And I do not find that that is the law. You have an interesting fee schedule attached. Apparently, to give them your name, you charge $50,000.
Correct.
To give your driver's license number, you charge the officers $50,000. If they want your social security, it's $100,000. If they want a retinal scan, is that $5 million?
That's correct.
Fingerprinting, photographing, $200,000 each. Then DNA and a bunch of that stuff is $5,000, and you go on with like a long list of what you're going to charge them with, or charge them for talking. To honor that fee schedule, because I don't think that has any law in this court, any bearing in this court. You either have the right to talk to the officers, or you have the right not to talk to them. You have the right to talk to them with your attorney, again, or you just have the right not to talk to them. But to try to charge them these fees, that is not consistent with the law.
Ma'am, pay.
And then you have a document, the 12 presumptions of court, and you start talking about a Roman court does not operate according to any rule of law, but by presumptions of law. You go on to talk about before a lower Roman court and a private bar guild. You talk about presumptions of public oath to the bar guild. And again, this is not a practice that Kansas uses. So I'm not going to make any rulings in favor of that document.
But it's a violation of my rights, because what you do with 49 CFR subsection 3(9).
Okay, I can't hear you, sir. You're gonna have to get in front of the microphone.
I've been in front of the microphone, but what you're saying is a clear violation of my rights because 49 CFR subsection 3.0.
All right, well, sir, I'm gonna stop you there. You've argued your point very, very extensively in your written documents. So I've heard your arguments in the written documents. I don't see any basis to them in this case, and I deny all of your motions and arguments. I note your objection for the record, so you can appeal if you wish, sir. But as judge in this case, I'm denying your motions. And we're going to proceed with your bench trial on a factual basis.
Yeah, but under what law are you basing this? What law? Because you're violating the
Under
law.
the Kansas laws, and if you don't know the Kansas laws, that's what you have an attorney for. He knows the Kansas laws. So we're going to proceed. We're going to proceed, sir. You need to restrain yourself a little bit. We have an orderly process we go through. Mr. Dean, are you ready to proceed?
State's ready, Your Honor.
All right, please call your first witness. And for the record, we are looking at a bench trial on the charge of vehicle display of a license plate. There's an argument. Okay. Yes, sir. Briefly.
The supremacy clause, Article 6 of the Constitution, is saying that the law of the land, the supreme law of the land, is the Constitution.
All right. Well, I'm denying your motion, sir, and you need to. If you're gonna participate in this hearing, you have to get closer to your microphone.
I'm on top of it. Literally,
start the trial. Are there any opening statements?
And state would waive open statements. Looks like we have Deputy Hanson here with us.
Deputy Hanson, please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Very well. Please proceed, Mr. Dean.
Deputy Hanson, would you please state your full name and title?
I am Deputy Clinton Hanson of the Greenwood County Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you been so employed?
Since June of 2023 at this agency.
And how long have you say at this agency, have you worked at other law enforcement agencies prior to your employment with Greenwood County?
Yes, sir. I have a grand total of 15 years in law enforcement.
And is that the same amount of time that you've been a certified law enforcement officer?
Yes, sir.
And back on August 21st of 2024, what were your duties on that day, sir?
On that day, I was just assigned to general patrol and any service calls or accidents that came up.
And were you patrolling the city of Eureka in Greenwood County, Kansas on that day and time?
Yes, sir.
And was there anything on that date that caught your attention as odd?
Yes, sir, there was.
And what was that?
While I was southbound on Main Street, I stopped at the stoplight and I noticed the vehicle in front of me had a very unusual registration on their vehicle.
And what was unusual about that registration?
Well, in 15 years of law enforcement, while I understand things change with license plates, I had never seen this license plate before. What also became very apparent to me as odd was the fact that it had a Kansas label on it as well as a US DOT.
I'll show you what I marked as State's Exhibit number 1. I believe you have the possession of this at the Sheriff's Department, correct?
I do, sir. It's right here.
And that's a license plate that you removed from this vehicle, preserved for evidence for today. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And does this appear to be an accurate picture and representation of the plate that you observed while you were on routine traffic patrol back
Yes,
on
sir.
August 21st, 2024?
Yes, sir.
And that's what you're referencing of Kansas and US DOT not appearing to be something that you would normally see as far as the layout of a license plate.
Correct.
Is private something you generally see on a license plate?
Not a plate that has ever been issued, to the best of my knowledge, by the state of Kansas or any other state.
Did you attempt to run this license plate before initiate or while you were investigating this matter?
I did.
And what, if any, information was dispatch able to provide to you?
There was no information. We could not get a what we call a return or a return from the state with all of the vehicle information.
Kansas, a lawful Kansas license plate, would it not also show